Welcome everyone to a quick little tutorial on how to clean your audio in Audacity, and not only just clean it, but to improve it. I will try to remember to add some timestamps to the video description, and I'll try and get them in the video as well. I've never actually done that myself before, so we'll see how it goes. Either way, I'll make sure not only in the video description are the timestamps, I'll pin a comment to the video's comment section with those timestamps. So this quick little introduction, also note that right now I am using OBS Studio to record my audio and what you see on the screen here. So the audio that I record in Audacity will be slightly different. Right now I do not have Audacity installed. I just uninstalled it. So we will be going over the installation process before we go over cleaning the audio. So if you want to skip over the download and installation process, go ahead and look at the timestamps. So to begin, go ahead and open browser and type in Audacity in a search. First one here. Do not click download Audacity unless you want the Muse Hub. Instead, click download without Muse Hub. It's downloaded. Go ahead and you can ignore this here. Placed it on the desktop for me, so it's right here. So run the installer. Select language. Next. Next. Just allow the default, that's fine. Next. Create desktop shortcut if you want. Next. Install. That part's done. Let's move this over. There we go. And launch Audacity. Don't show this at startup. Click the box right here. Pretty easy. If you want to see this, you can, but I don't. Click OK. Go up into your settings. Let's go ahead and get this set up before setting up Windows audio, because we are going to need to adjust some settings in the system. But we shall do that after, just to make sure. So for this, it's selecting the default system I have running out. You can change this to whatever. I'm just going to leave it at 44.1 kilohertz. It's 44,100 hertz, because that is what my mic's mixing board is running at right now. You can select the sample format, change that around if you want. Make sure it's also the correct microphone that you want to use with the correct number of channels. Playback. Make sure that's correct. If you don't hear anything on playback, you have the wrong device selected. It should select the default recording device and default audio playback device from your system settings. Playback, you don't got to really worry about these. It's more for advanced stuff. This is just for cleaning stuff. This tutorial. Also, again, I'm not editing this video, so it's just a one and done recording. Quality, set everything to the best. Interface, tracks, just go over all of this real quick. You can sort through it on your own. There are some plugins you can add to this later if you want. I'm not going over that right now. So you can import video files, for example, and extract the audio from those. And application. You can also have it automatically check for updates, but if you don't want it to automatically check for updates, you can go up to Help, Check for Updates. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and temporarily close out of Audacity, because there is something else to do first. And what you see here on the desktop, I have a shortcut to sound controls. To get a shortcut to that, go ahead and go to the Start menu, Search, Control Panel. Launch Control Panel. Go into Hardware and Sound. Sound right here, right-click it, create shortcut. It'll bring up this prompt. Say it can't place it there, that's fine. Asks if you want to play this on the desktop. Click yes. You can see it showed up right here. You can launch this, opens that. Go and cancel, and because I already have a shortcut, let's delete that. And let's launch that. This is important. Make sure the correct output playback device is selected. Right now I have it set to my speakers, which is correct. I also have a mixing board here which I'm not using audio out from my mixing board. I have each of my monitors because I am using 2 monitors. Go in, check levels, make sure that's correct. It's okay if this is low right now. I have it low on purpose. Advanced, you can check your quality options. Make sure that's set. Spatial surround, can ignore that for now. Also, you can configure this if you don't have it set up correctly. That's to get surround sound or stereo, quadraphonic, any of that. But I'm not going to be doing that right now. After your speakers are set up, go into Recording tab. Make sure you find the correct microphone you are using. You will notice that, for some reason, oh wait, this is turned down. This is my webcam. I could turn this up and you would see the levels of it moving around, but I have that turned down on purpose. So cancel. This is my HD capture, my Elgato. I'm not using that right now, which means the default device right now selected is my mixing board. If you want to set a new default, you can highlight it, go down, set default. Same with the playback device. So go into your microphone. Make sure listen is disabled, otherwise you'll hear it through the speakers, your playback device. You can have that enabled if you want to use headphones, but there will usually be a little bit of a delay. This is going to be incredibly important later on. Right now I have mine set to 50%. Others will vary. Your system, the mic setup you use, it will vary. My audio sounds really loud right now because I am using a compression filter and noise removal, suppression, whatever. A bunch of filters in OBS that you will not hear applied when I record something in Audacity. And in the Advanced tab, you'll see drop down. I could technically increase to 48 kilohertz for this mixing board, but I don't do that because then it actually screws up the audio because the mixing board is kind of built on the cheap. So select the highest quality you can, make sure it functions. If it's something built on the cheap, you may want to drop it down one setting. You won't really notice a huge difference as long as it's not too much. When you're set, you have it ready, click apply, then OK. You can close out of that. But this is where we then relaunch Audacity. Before doing anything, check your audio levels to make sure everything's looking good. You will notice that my audio is really quiet in this clip, the track I'm recording right here. It should be quiet when you're recording it before effects are applied. If it's really loud, then you may have issues with clipping. It will clip when it hits or attempts to exceed 0 decibels. It cannot actually exceed 0 decibels. So what happens when it hits 0 is it then flatlines. That flatlining I will show you an example of here. Before I do that though, let me go ahead and temporarily turn down the audio in OBS. That way, I'm not blowing your eardrums out. So I should have gotten a little quieter, actually probably significantly quieter, because I just now reduced it by about 10 decibels in OBS. Then go back over. You could technically also do this from Audacity here by adjusting the recording level up top. But I highly suggest using system audio instead, especially since it's more difficult to see in Audacity. So back to levels. Let's go and boost this to 100 just to see. Actually, let's do 75 first, just to see what it does. As I continue to speak, you can see it got a lot louder and much louder in OBS. So what happens if you actually make it flatline? Well, let's go ahead and show. We turn this down in OBS a little bit more, so I'm not blowing your ears out. Down to 17 decibels. And I'll boost this to 100%. At 100%, you can see it's flatlining. It is going crazy all over the place. That is not what you want to see. Let me reduce this back down to 50. And I have now restored my audio in Audacity, or in OBS, I keep getting mixed up, to 100. So cancel and close that. Since that's finished, audio levels are already set. You will want to play around with that a bit. Make sure you make some loud noises like that, and have some quiet noises as well. That part here looks a little like it flatlined, but it didn't. That's just the tone of my voice does stuff that's weird like that. Play around with it to make sure you can get a good quiet and a good loud, a good distance between them without flatlining by clipping your audio. Once you have it all set, you can actually begin to record. But let's go ahead and play back that flatline spot you were looking at here. After playing back the audio before it. So you can hear the difference in volume. The track I'm recording right here. It should be quiet when you're recording it before effects are. So as you can hear, the audio is much quieter than you hear it from OBS because there are no effects applied right now. So going over, let's play it back to where it was around 75% maximum volume, so you can hear the difference. As I continue to speak, you can see it got a lot louder and much louder in OBS. So what happens if you actually make it flatline? Well, let's go ahead and show. Then let's go ahead and prepare yourselves. This is probably going to be really loud. Give you a second to turn your system down a little bit so you don't blare your ears out. Ready? 3, 2, 1. I shall now play this back. At 100%, you can see it's flatlining. It is going crazy all over the place. That is not what you want to see. That is not the audio you want to have. That is what happens when you are clipping and you need to turn the audio down. With that said, we can finally, and suppose I'll show you this little spot here. Make sure you make some loud noises like that, and just so you could hear that didn't flatline. If it's flatlining, it's reaching up to this bar and this line here. Now, let's go ahead and remove this audio track. And to get your audio cleaned up, you will need to record a section of silence at the start of each audio track you create. This silence should have no background noise that is not going to be constant in the video. So, what about the length? Well, I always found 5 seconds works for that. So what you want to do, when you begin, click record and you just stay silent for 5 seconds, after which you can then speak. So let's do that now. Get your breathing all set. Make sure you're not interrupting, adding unusual activity to the noise you are going to remove from the entire clip. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can speak, and as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio set to 50% on the system. Again, OBS, it's much louder because of those effects I am applying. Once you get enough recorded, you can go ahead and take a noise profile. I will show that in a minute, and apply the noise profile for noise reduction or noise removal, whichever you want to call it, to the entire audio clip. The amount of time it takes will depend on how quick or how fast your system is and how long the audio clip is that you need to clean up. Every effect you apply will also be determined based on the length of the audio clip. So let's go ahead and show you an example of what kind of audio is in the silence I recorded at the start of this. So let's go ahead and stop and jump back to the start. So in order to show, let's just go and play it. You can see there's a little bit here jumping around with the 5 seconds now recorded, but you can't really tell. So let's go and highlight that section. And let's go up to volume and compression, amplify. I will undo this after. You'll see it will automatically select to bring it to a new decibel level. Let's go and set this to a -1. Oh, never mind. Let's just let it do its default then. Amplify. Apply. You can see here, there's a lot of noise there. Let's play it back and see what it sounds like. That is the audio you want to remove. So let's go and undo that Amplify. And since it's still highlighted, go up to Effect at the top, Volume and Compression. Right? No, not volume. Noise Removal and Repair. Go down, Noise Reduction. Select it. Before doing anything, select Get Noise Profile. You then want to highlight the entire clip. You can do that by selecting the box on the left. Go back up to Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, Noise Reduction. Then, just max out the noise reduction to 48 decibels. And for the sensitivity, I think I forgot to take a note of this. Yes, I did. Let me go ahead and double check that because I forgot. I am an idiot. I had all these notes prepared. You might want to play with this around or play around with this a little bit as well. But for sensitivity, let's start out by using the default. And other than noise reduction, decibel level reduction as maxed out. So just go ahead and click OK. It appears like nothing's been done. So let's go highlight those 5 seconds. And let's go into volume and compression and amplify. It might still have something there, but let's see. Look at that. It's pretty much all gone. These little 2 spots here were from noise from my mouth right at the start. So let's go and undo the amplify. And undo noise reduction one more time, just to show something. So at first, let's go and amplify this section. See what it sounds like before noise reduction is applied. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can speak. And as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio set to 50% on the system. That noise profile is still maintained. It's still held in memory. So you don't need to regain it. You can go back to noise reduction. It'll save the last used settings. So click OK. Then let's play this back. With the 5 second. Hold on. I messed up. You have to amplify after. Let me repeat that. That's a good thing to note. You do not want to adjust your volume while recording the audio for the silence or recording after the silence. You need to make sure audio levels are consistent. And you do not want to apply the noise removal after you amplify. You want to amplify and apply all your effects after noise removal, noise reduction is done. So let's apply this time, then go in and amplify. And play it back. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can speak. And as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio set to 50% on the system. All right, let's undo amplify, undo noise reduction, select the entire clip because you weren't able to really hear anything in that, which is fine. That's what you want. You don't want all that background noise. It may be more difficult to hear on my mic setup. Yours may be easier to hear in a recording, depending on your settings, depending on the quality of your mic, depending on all the background noise. Also, if you have more background noise, it may distort your audio. So you want to have as low an amount of background noise as possible. So let's go back into noise reduction. Apply. Then you can go in and instead of going directly to amplify, let's skip ahead to the next step of cleaning up and improving your audio. And that would be the compression. Now, there are 2 spots for compression. So before I do this, you can see there's one here in volume and compression, but I actually find this one to be far inferior to the previous one, which is down in the legacy tools, legacy compressor. So you can determine a difference. Go ahead and right click. I should be able to duplicate this track. Used to be a right click. Okay. Instead, they moved it up to edit. I was using a previous version of Audacity right before uninstalling and checking stuff out. So highlight the track, duplicate. Both are not highlighted. You don't want both highlighted. Select one. The top one will be the modern compressor. So volume and compression, compressor, and I will do one of the presets it has. Since I'm using vocals, factory presets, let's go ahead and drop it down to the podcast and radio preset and apply. Practically nothing happened. So to give a comparison, let's go ahead and go down. Bottom track, the duplicated one, identical to the top before that compression was applied. Go into Legacy compressor. This is the one I've used in the past. This will default to 2:1. I have increased it to 10:1, and it will have one of these checked by default. You want to make sure compress based on peaks is applied. The rest of the settings in this, you can leave at default. I suggest raising the ratio to 10:1, but again, your settings may vary. Go ahead and apply. Big difference there. So just to make this a little more fair, let's go and give this top track a play before I amplify it, and I'll compare to the bottom one. In order to listen to one at a time, click solo, then play. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can speak, and as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio and stop, then solo the bottom one instead. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can speak, and as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio set to 50% on the system. And as you can hear, there's a big difference in audio, but it's not just the audio levels that make this legacy compressor superior to me, and why I suggest using it instead of the modern one. So to see the difference here, let's go back up to Effect, Volume and Compression, Amplify, Apply. Apply a better level of that, so undo. I don't know why its default is being like that, although I guess later on. Yeah, never mind. Let's apply. I guess there's that loud spot later on. That's why it's not going quite as high. So since I'm only playing this beginning part here, let's make it a little more fair. I want it to be similar volume so you can better compare it. Okay. Now pay attention to the peaks, such as right here. This section there compared to here. You can see, even though they both went through a compression, the compressions are not equal. The compression applied to this top track was specifically designed for podcasts and radio. And yet, there is more of a range between the peaks, the high and the low volume. But when you apply a proper compression, you don't want a huge variance between the loud and the quiet. The Legacy makes things a little tighter. It bunches them up together. So the loud spots are quieter and the quieter spots are louder. You do want some variance there, otherwise it'll just sound completely flat. However, you don't want too much, otherwise the quiet will sound way too quiet and the loud will sound way too loud. And it'll make it so the person listening has to struggle with increase in the audio when something's quiet and decrease in audio when something's loud. With the Legacy compression functioning the way it does, it helps eliminate their involvement in adjusting volume. So let's go ahead and listen to the Legacy compression first. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can speak, and as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio set to 50% on the system. And go back to solo the other one instead. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can speak, and as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio set to 50% on the system. Now there's not a huge difference there, so let's mute both, and I will instead swap back and forth. Because if one is muted, or if they're both muted, you can click solo, swap between them. Now it used to be a little, if I remember it, it used to be different to where you could only solo one at a time. Now some reason it allows you to solo both, but I could be remembering that wrong. So let's start with the top, then I'll swap to the bottom as it's playing. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can speak, and as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio set to 50% on the system. Again, OBS, it's much louder because of those effects I am applying. So there's not a huge difference there, but in some situations, the difference of the modern compression might not be as good. So I just prefer the legacy. With that said, let's go ahead and remove this top track here and stick only with legacy. There is also potential for loudness normalization. Now, I don't think you actually need to use this anymore if you use the proper compression that I am using, but if you want to, you can go in, use it, play around with the settings if you want. There's perceived loudness and RMS, and just apply. Although then it reduces it. Again, I haven't used Normalize in a long time, so you can look at it again. And let's try -1. Oh, that's a little too low or too high. Again, you'll want to play around with this if you want to use it at all. It is slightly different than the Normalize of the past as well. But as far as I am able to tell, the previous Normalize is not there anymore. Although you do still have EQs. And I will show the EQs at the end of the video. Pretty much the whole thing is done. Oh, never mind. Normalizer's right below. I'm an idiot. So there's loudness normalization and regular normalization. So normalize, apply. It just adjusts the peaks a little bit more. But you don't really need to use that if you're using the compression. So that's undone because it didn't do much more than quiet it down a bit. If you really want, you can also go into volume and amplify. But you can see because I allowed it to compress, you don't need to amplify anymore, so it's barely going to add anything. So again, you don't really need to amplify it anymore if you don't want to. So let's undo that. Let's go ahead and play this back. With the 5 seconds now recorded, I can zoom out. And as I'm speaking, you'll see again, it's really quiet because I have my audio set to 50% on the system. Again, OBS, it's much louder because of those effects I am applying. Once you get enough recorded, you can go ahead and take a noise profile. I will show that in a minute, and apply the noise profile for noise reduction or noise removal, whichever you want to call it, to the entire audio clip. The amount of time it takes will depend on how quick or how fast your system is and how long the audio clip is that you need to clean up. Every effect you apply will also be determined based on the length of the audio clip. So let's go ahead and show you an example of what kind of audio is in the silence I recorded at the start of this. So let's go ahead and stop. And there you go. And just so you can see, I like this just to show that noise removal is applied. There's that silence area, just like I showed after applying it the first time for the example. So that is all there is to it. If you want to apply an EQ, highlight the entire track, you can go in, EQ and filters. You have bass, treble, filter, curve EQ, graphic EQ, high pass, filter, low pass, a lot of stuff here. Graphic EQ, again, you can adjust stuff here all you want. This will take a lot of work, but my mixing board has some EQ on it already, so I have no need for this. Depending on what you're using, your setup might require this, or you can go in and touch things up later if you really want to, because if you're active EQ, if you're using a mixing board, if that's not getting exactly the audio you want, or you want to edit something for a video after and you don't have it quite where you want, then you can do that. But this I have no use of right now. But it does have each of the frequencies. So 20, 25, 31, like all throughout. All right. I can resize it. Well, I'm not going to apply that. There are a lot of effects you can use. The main thing you needed to worry about was just getting that 5-second silence, just to remember. Then just a quick overview again. After the 5-second silence, for the noise removal, noise reduction, you have to get the noise profile, then you apply it to the entire track. And by applying it to the entire track, you just go in, you boost the noise reduction amount you want. It's good to just max it out and click OK. Again, these settings, you may need to play around with them a little bit. I just use the default because that's what works. Other than noise reduction amount, that's good to just max out to the 48 decibels. Again, another review or overview or recap. After you apply that, you can go in, apply your compression with legacy compression, legacy compressor, whatever. Leave everything at default, except make sure compress based on peaks is active. You can make up gain for 0 decibels after, if you want, and boost the ratio to 10:1. Let's go ahead and show you what that does as well. If undoing legacy compression, go back to legacy, compression, compressor, make up gain for 0 decibels. This will basically apply the amplify at the end. So if you do want the amplification to bring it to 0 decibels, you can add that, skip amplifying it later. Apply. So now if we go back into Amplify, it won't do anything. It'll say 0 because it's at 0. And I don't know why it broke when I clicked cancel, but whatever. So there. Quick little overview done. Quick little tutorial done. It's really simple. You can look around at it all you want. It's fine. If anyone watches this, if anyone found it helpful, glad you found it helpful. Thank you for watching. And I will see you on another video in the future if you watch any of my other stuff. Until then, I will see you later. Bye for now.